Hi, my name is Jill. You are here at Road Culture Rules, and today I want to keep the conversation going about the RV lifestyle, homestead style, and we're going to talk a little bit about the idea of woofing, which is really a way to live and work in exchange for rent and sometimes food on a farm or some kind of organic growing livestock, certain kinds of experience. But I want to talk about my experience, why I think it's a great place to start. But before we do that, we're going to take a deep breath, hold for 4, exhale, and we're going to see you on the other side. So I wanted to start with this idea of woofing, and I'll have the link below, but really it's an international organization that connects people, individuals or families, with farmers, anybody who's doing some kind of organic food growing animal experience. And the reason why I think it's a great place to start, and it's actually how I started on my journey, is that it's a pre-existing structured arrangement. And so in the last video I talked about really this idea of marrying, the nomadic mobile life with homestead permanent lifestyle. And I like that for a long-term option outside of woofing, but I think the way to experience and experiment and to clarify is inside a structured environment. And so that's why we're just going to talk about woofing today. I'm also going to link one of my favorite experiences, which was really just a visit, was a goat farm. It was 6 years ago. My, how times have changed. I'm not sure I really like video because it points out that I'm not getting any younger. So the basics of how woofing works is, if you're in the United States or another country, but the US has its own website, is you can join as a member, and then you are provided with information on farms who are participating in this environment. And then the host farm puts up a profile, you contact them, you work out the details. And the way it's supposed to work is, in exchange for about 4 to 6 hours of work per day, you determine how many days per week, then you're supposed to get teaching, room and board in some version, and then time also to sightsee, explore, do things on your own time. Now, most people do not come with their own trailer or RV. So I also am linking an article below, somebody who did it in an RV, and he put in some really good questions. So I'm just going to have him explain it to you instead of me do all the good questions that he offers. Is that it's not everybody can take a trailer, a van, or an RV, so you really want to clarify that ahead of time. But again, the reason I'm sharing this idea is that it's a great place to start, because the hardest part about all this is really, one, can you do the work? Do you like the work? It's perfect for establishing whether you even want your own homestead. It's what helped me figure out it just wasn't realistic. The other thing that is important to understand is that there are people involved. Not everybody gets along. But I'm going to give you these 5 reasons why I think you would know if it's right for you, if you really like these kinds of things. And one is that you're okay, you like to work, you're willing to take risks, you're a person that wants to contribute, you're a person that wants to participate. But most importantly, you're a person that wants to learn. And you're not going to learn just about farming. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, and it will help you identify maybe what areas you really want to become more informed or educated or reliant in, and which areas you might really be wanting to kind of let that piece go. The other 5 things I'm going to tell you about before you go into it is this. The first is you need to ask a lot of questions. I didn't really understand it until it was too late. So you really need to know that you've got to ask questions. It's your responsibility. My experience is the host family, even though they're doing this, they may not necessarily be that communicative, so it's up to you. You must do your own research. There's usually comments, so you can kind of a feel, but the expectations are wide. I've seen people wanting, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day as woofing experience, which really means just free labor. So you have to be very clear about your expectations by doing your own research. The next really important piece around that is to have your own exit plan. That is invaluable because mostly you set up a time ahead of time, like I'm going to be there for a week, a month, whatever. But if things go horribly wrong, you need to find a way to get out. And so that is very important, is to have an exit plan before you go in. This other one is the hardest one, I think, for most people, and that is that you have to keep your judgments checked at the door. And the reason I say that is once animals become involved, people are super judgmental about animal care that haven't participated in animal care. And I know it's been a learning curve for me, and it's extremely difficult to watch the way other people take care of animals or their children or their home or their family. So it's not our job to judge what other people do, but that goes back to have an exit plan, because if it's really unbearable, you just need to be able to get out of there. But you cannot go in with a lot of judgments, because I can tell you it's going to be a challenge. The last piece to that, to this 5, is to just be prepared. And that means you got to have your own food, you got to have your own resources, you got to have your own plan on how you're going to take care of first aid, things like that. And just because somebody says they're welcoming you into their space, you just don't know how other people live or how they think about you in terms of what they're going to be offering you. So food for me, I always found to be the biggest issue, and that there really wasn't very much. So I needed to figure out how to bring my food with me. I learned that the hard way, especially if you're in a really remote area. So that's really important. So that's just a few things to think about. Like I said, there's lots of ways to do this. I'm also linking another one I found below called Harvest Home, which is basically free overnight RV stays for those who are interested in farms, vineyards, things like that. But again, I think the benefit of moving into a structured environment to explore and experiment, if this is for you, is it will give you a much better frame of reference to initiate maybe more long-term relationships, which is really, you know, what I was able to do here, because I understood what I could and couldn't do, how much time I was willing to exchange for rent or food or lack of food. So that's why I'm a big fan of this process, as it's been going on forever. I'm going to put their YouTube channel, which is just sort of another example of why good wholesome things don't get lots of views, but it will give you a tiny window into some of the people that are doing this as hosts, and also people that are doing it to learn, all ages, all over the world. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to learn and have experiences. I'm a big fan, and that is why I'm talking about here with you, because I believe, again, as we are trying to move forward, how we can marry road and rural culture, this is a fabulous way to get that started, initiate, and begin building this new world, which I do talk about in that old video. Because that's really how all this began. I'm all about building what's new, and I think you should be part of that too. So with that, we're going to go one more deep breath for the road, as I hope you will rise with the sun in your eyes, love in your heart, feet firmly on the ground, as together we walk on survival road, one step at a time. Live free, die wild, my friend. I'll see you next time.